Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
It's no secret that I have 5 children, 4 daughters, 1 son, one prince. And, you know, raising children is a joy. It's a blessing. I think the hardest thing about raising children really is the heartache that comes from the worry, because you never know. You just never know what will happen to your children and how. But the thing for us that we have to understand here in America is that the key part of any kind of whatever you want to call it, nationalism, revolution, uprising, activism, your key play, your key part, what the enemy knows, be it without a shadow of a doubt, is that you don't think about infrastructure. The two things that somewhere around 2010 that was starting to be thrown around that never was really explained and never given context was 2 words were architecture and infrastructure. Architecture and infrastructure. People started calling, offensive architecture in football and basketball. They started talking about mental architecture. Even I talked about a nationalist mental architecture. And I will go into that in some future episodes. But infrastructure is something that people are using now, too, to describe every freaking thing. They use infrastructure to describe headphones sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Infrastructure, brothers and sisters, is your foundation. It's your backbone. It is what keeps a city running. It's the thing that's not flashy. It's behind the scenes. Infrastructure is your power grid. It's your sewage system. It's your transportation system. It's your, It's your information system and information highway. Infrastructure is those little things that you cannot do without. Listen, I went to go see the other day. My son and my daughter, they've been nagging me to go see this movie called Fifth Wave. And, me, I'm waiting for all the Marvel movies to come out and some other things. So I'm like, Fifth Wave, this is corny. I don't want to see this, but I'm going to see it because you want me to go see it. So eventually I go see it with my son because, he wants to go and hang out yesterday. Man, brothers and sisters, if you're a nationalist, go see Fifth Wave. If you're conscious, go see Fifth Wave, please. That is, to me, one of the most important movies of 2016 if you're going to look at things in the abstract or in the metaphorically. In this movie, Fifth Wave, it's an alien invasion. They call them the others. You never really see who the aliens are, by the way. And first, a big mothership comes into space, the usual situation. And the first thing that happens is an EMP burst hits the whole planet. Everything that runs on electricity or magnetism goes out. No cell phones, no car, airplanes start falling out of the sky, all of that. That's, brothers and sisters, that's infrastructure. That's infrastructure. And if somebody controls your infrastructure, you are basically screwed. Because without power, without any of that stuff, you're back in the Stone Ages. Those people were back in the Stone Ages. You saw cars in the streets. You saw buildings crumble. You saw all of that. The second wave basically was natural disasters. I don't know how they did it, but they started causing earthquakes, all sorts of tsunamis and things like that. This started washing out the people. But the third thing was biological warfare. So they infected mosquitoes and they infected birds and they gave the birds like an elevated form of the bird flu. And it basically killed, I want to say, like 80% of the population. The only thing that was left was like a small 10% of the population. And what they did with the fourth wave was they killed all of the adults and they took the children and they retrained the children to now look at anybody that was a survivor as the enemy and set the children to kill the adults. Does this sound familiar to you? This is Fifth Wave. This is how Hollywood be putting the truth right in your face. And so therefore, brothers and sisters, infrastructure, when you look at the Flint Michigan situation, the water supply is infrastructure. And warfare, in many cases, The greatest or the height of warfare is to be able to defeat your enemy without taking one shot, throwing one blow, or what's called wasting one arrow. It's the ability to defeat your enemy with sometimes movement. It's the ability to defeat your enemy by seizing their power supply, by seizing their food stores and things like that. Basically, if you can move on the enemy's logistics, a lot of times you can defeat the enemy. Napoleon was good at this. Stonewall Jackson was good at this. William Tecumseh Sherman was good at this. Sun Tzu wrote. He wrote in such fashion that is what you should do, and many other Chinese writers and African generals. This is what they did. Hannibal was extremely good at moving on your infrastructure. He understood that. And so the thing about it is this, brothers and sisters, when you look at this Flint situation, you got a lot of people in Flint that not Flint, but in Detroit and Michigan that claim to be this and claim to be that. But they are irrelevant now because this attack blew past all of their rhetoric, blew past all of their killings, their yellings and threatening, and it went straight to what they could not control, which is infrastructure. This is why I said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't care what any of you come on YouTube and say about us. I don't care what you say on the internet or blog talk or whatever. You don't have a nation if you don't control infrastructure. That Flint situation should tell you that. Not only did they didn't cut off the water supply to the people, they just poisoned the water supply. And not only is it now affecting the adults, but it's affecting the babies. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. Again, I got 5 children. So for me, it's kind of hard to even think about my child now growing up with brain damage and body damage from lead poisoning that I could not control. Now, mind you, my children don't drink water anyway. They don't drink water from the tap. They drink it from the bottle. And I'm not saying that the bottle water that you get is any better, but it's damn sure better than tap water because tap water has fluoride in it and said other things like that. So if you're listening out there and you got children, you should know from this situation now, do not let your children drink tap water ever. I don't give a damn what city you in. Don't let your children drink tap water. But that really doesn't matter because even if you bathe with the water, it still gets in your skin. And so therefore, brothers and sisters, what we're saying to you and what we're proposing to you from the BAIO is very simple. When we say land, infrastructure, and nationhood, infrastructure has a capital, maybe even a triple or quadruple capital I. And the reason being is that you cannot fight any fight, you cannot prosecute, you cannot defend yourself against any oppressor if you don't control the infrastructure. Understand something. When you're going to a Middle Eastern country to fight a war, and you're fighting against what's called quote-unquote insurgents, do you understand that that's their infrastructure? Do you understand that America is taking over their infrastructure, but they can never really control the infrastructure because it's not theirs? Do you understand that they've been over there for so many years because they can't control their infrastructure? Do you understand that? Do you understand that? That's what's not being said on TV. That's what's not being said on the news outlets, is that the war really is going to drag on because it's a foreign country and you never can really control their infrastructure. So when we say that word, we're not talking about something transient that you hear on TV or you read in a book. We're talking about the bare bones of a city, of a state, and of a nation. And that bare bones is, again, your power, your information, your sewage system, your railways, your transportation, your air traffic, and all of the rest of the things that keep a nation going, keep people, resources, power, and information coming in and going out. And if you can control that, then you can defeat the enemy. But if you can't control that, then you yourself will be defeated 1,000 times. We'll be back. Actually, we won't be back because we're running out of time here. So I want to give everybody 5 minutes. So let me start from the top and work my way down to the bottom. And I know who this is. Caller from the 347 is my dear brother, my brother from another mother who I love like my own brother, Mr. Holip. How are you, big brother?
Peace, fam. How you doing?
Fantastic, big brother. How you doing?
I'm good. I made me some soup, roasted vegetable. Doing good.
I'm actually eating bean soup while I'm doing this show myself.
Yeah, soup is the deal, man, especially when it's cold like this. But yeah, man, pretty much this is the exclamation point on the whole situation right here. This show you're doing.
Yes,
like,
sir.
We don't really have to explain ourselves anymore. Or we have to go, when somebody says something, we'll just say, see Flint, Michigan.
Right. Right.
You know, that's all we really have to do. I mean, you really just put the period, the exclamation point, and everything else on this whole entire discussion. Think about this. These people, now all these conspiracy theories are coming up. Oh, they're trying to eradicate the black race and da-da-da. No, it has nothing to do with that. What it has to do with is people is making money and making moves, and you are not a factor. You're not that important. Nobody went on. Nobody made a decision at a smoke-filled room and said, "You know what? We're going to kill the people of Detroit."
Right.
These people cutting deals with water companies and whatever, and they just said, "You know what? In the interim, let's just draw the water from the lake, from the river. You know, we don't have to filter it. It's just, you know, whatever. We'll just do it as an interim thing." But they didn't realize just how bad it was.
Right. Right.
You know, because remember, this is government officials doing this. The last thing a government official wants is to be on the front pages of the news.
Right.
So it wasn't like this was an intentional thing. It was just a neglectful thing. This is what happens. And now, all of these Black Power Americans, what's your solution? Are you going to go and redirect the water? What are you going to do? You're going to sit there and wait for white people to do it for you. And isn't this what I've been saying for the longest? But you see, I'm glad that things like this happen. There's a silver lining in this. I'm sad for the people of Detroit, obviously. But the silver lining to this is that maybe it will make everybody understand what the hell we have been talking about all this time.
Yes.
Because if there's anybody who's trying to challenge us after this situation, then you people out there have to realize who's for real and who's on some BS. And it ain't us.
No doubt.